Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with this Heartthrob cut and clamp Resonator Delete H-pipe available for 2015 and up GT Mustangs. The Resonator Delete H-pipe from Heartthrob is going to replace the factory resonator that is restricting to the new GT and adds weight. It's going to be a good option for someone that's looking for an aluminized steel mid-pipe that isn't going to cost a ton, but that is going to open up a good amount of sound easily and quickly. Swapping out the Resonator mid-pipe for a traditional style mid-pipe like this H-pipe is a way to get around having to purchase an entirely new exhaust system in order to change the tone of the exhaust without having to change anything else. The factory Resonator style mid-pipe is basically another muffler on the S550 GT and muffles sound and power. So by eliminating this muffler or Resonator style mid-pipe and replacing it with a standard type of mid-pipe that is free-flowing like this H-pipe, you're getting rid of a bottleneck and you can expect a good amount more volume from the exhaust even without changing the factory axle back or any other components of the exhaust. So this H-pipe does reuse the factory cats, so you're still going to be smog legal and still pass emissions and get the change in sound that I've talked about, so that should give you a good idea of just how restrictive the factory mid-pipe is. This is an aluminized steel H-pipe, and material is something that you should always consider when you're shopping for exhaust. So the material of the mid-pipe is really going to drive the price point, and this H-pipe being aluminized steel is what helps to keep it more price-friendly than some of the other options that are out there. Aluminized tubing has some upsides and some downsides as well. Like I already said, this type of material is going to be more budget-friendly, so there's your upside right there. The sacrifice that you make here is that the metal is prone to rust and have corrosion over time, especially if it sees harsh road conditions. But if that's something that you're not concerned about, or you live on the West Coast, or your car isn't a daily, then it's not going to be a big deal to you. If you're looking for a long-lasting system that can handle the weather, or that sees some of the awesome road salt that we see here in PA, you're better off shopping for a 304 stainless steel system instead. This is a cut and clamp mid-pipe, which means that you cut out and remove your factory resonator and clamp the H-pipe into place. That's how you're able to reuse your stock cats, but it also means that you can pair it with your stock mufflers, or you can run it with an aftermarket axle back. So no matter what axle back you have, this H-pipe will work for you, and either way, you still maintain the use of the stock cats, and you still have an improvement in sound. So this is an H-pipe, and like a typical H-pipe, you can expect more of a deeper tone from your exhaust and more volume. If you want more of a louder, raspy note as opposed to the deep sound, you should stick with an X-pipe instead, and there are a few cut and clamp X-pipes that are currently available. H-pipes tend to be a little deeper sounding, while X-pipes produce a bit more volume with that raspy note. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the loudest, and keeping in mind that you're still going to have your stock cats and axle back, I'd rate this H-pipe as a 2. Of course, if you ever change your axle back, or even your headers for that matter, the H-pipe is going to change in sound and volume, so just keep that in mind. Depending on which axle back you end up choosing, you could be looking at more of a 3 or 4 on the loudness meter, so if you don't want a system that's too loud, just keep in mind your mid-pipe when you're shopping for other components. Another thing to mention here is that a great side effect of replacing that resonator with an H-pipe is dropping a good amount of weight. The factory resonator adds some pounds to the S550, so by replacing it with a simple H-pipe, you're going to be dropping about 25 pounds, which is just another little plus, even if you aren't trying to drop weight. As far as price goes with this H-pipe, it is currently the only separate H-pipe that's available for the S550, and you're looking at spending between $100 and $200 for it. Like I mentioned earlier, there are other X-pipes that are available in other brands, other materials, and at other price points if you want to shop around for something else. Either way, swapping out your factory resonator for an aftermarket H-pipe delete is a fast and easy way to totally change your exhaust. As for the install, you do have some flexibility here. Like the name suggests, there will be some cutting involved, but nothing too difficult. If you take your time, it's going to take about 2 hours to complete, maybe less, and I'm going to call this a 2 out of 3 wrenches in the difficulty meter, but mainly just because of the cutting that's involved. The H-pipe does come with brand new clamps for the rear, but you'll reuse the factory front clamps, but you always have the option of clamping the front and welding in the rear of the pipe if you want, but that's up to you or your shop. A lot of people like welding in the rear better, but that's not something that you have to do. So wrapping this up here, this is an aluminized steel Resonator Delete H-pipe that can work with either the factory axle back or an aftermarket one. It also works with the factory cats, and it's going to free up some sound and volume from the GT. It is a great way to inexpensively change your exhaust note. As always, you can check it out more online for yourself. And for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.